pierced my soul, not to be too dramatic. I'm gonna see where this one takes me, secretly manifesting. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Briony and I write books. I'm an aspiring novelist, currently working on a speculative archaeological thriller and trying to add 50,000 words to that. There's NaNoWriMo, but I have aspirations to write a lot more around fantasy and dark academia novels as well. I'm also a self-published children's picture book author. Initially, I wrote those stories for my girls, but they are on Amazon if you would like to check them out. I'll link them in the description box below. But I thought it would be fun to try and do this Authortube Newbie Tag. Kind of came across Authortube by accident. I don't know what twist of fate brought Christiane Jones into my YouTube algorithm. I just fell in love with her videos. I watched a lot of them breastfeeding my second daughter actually, or like while she was napping on me. And they just made me fall in love with like the process of writing again, even though I wasn't yet extensively doing it myself. Then I discovered a bunch of others. I find Brielle writes really motivational. I love Lindy Jung. The whole idea of having accountability and a community on here just made me be like, I love this. I kind of found the Authortube tag through that. I believe Jenna Streety, I'll link her below as well, was the one who came up with the Authortube tag 2.0. I wanted to do this one and I'm not 100% sure of the source. You might ask why I'm filming on the floor. Anyone who has kids will know, but like I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old and our house is not an aesthetic place to be, no matter how hard we try. I'm also late diagnosed adult ADHD, so the doom piles everywhere are massively my fault and my poor husband is a saint. Let's get into it. Authortube Newbie Tag. How did you discover Authortube? Christiane Jones popped up in my algorithm. Loved her vlogs, super cozy, beautiful. I love the way she talks about writing. She's clearly very talented and like passionate about what she does. She's so down to earth. She's so not pretentious. She's so also earnest though, in a way that I think a lot of people like try to be like really ironic, and she just seems like such a lovely human and writer, and I'm so excited. I pre-ordered her book. Theodora's Tea Shop is coming out next year, I believe, and yeah, and through her my algorithm was then boosting bits up to me. I really like Brielle's Authortube Cafe episodes, and that's kind of introduced me to a few new Authortubers as well, and the idea of it for community and accountability. What genres do I write in? At the moment I'm writing a speculative archaeological thriller, but I aspire to write more fantasy and dark academia. Prefer writing tense, POV and category of story. So in terms of point of view, I like in my bones I'm probably a first person writer. That said, I'm currently writing in third person. I think with first person, it comes quicker because I'm so like character led and really into the interiority, their emotional life, their relationships, their history, what makes them the way they are, their past. And I go maybe a bit deeper than like needed sometimes, especially because I'm working in kind of genre fiction. And so actually I'm working in third person because I think it gives me a better balance. Writing tense, past. I think occasionally like I've had things I've written where I've veered into present and past, like between the two kind of by mistake, but past tense. Plot or pantser. My whole life, like writing as a kid, right? I think most of us are pantsers. I was very like that for a long time. Then I guess I kind of stopped writing. Over the course of university, I think studying literature, which I adored, made me think I could never contribute anything of value, and it kind of, this literary snobbery world came upon me a bit because I loved fantasy growing up, and then I kind of was like, like maybe this is a guilty pleasure, something you have to cover up, and yeah, so time out, became a lawyer, had kids, lots of life happened, and now I think it's really amazing, and there's a place for all writing and all types of art, and you don't have to prove anything to anybody, and you don't need this rubber stamp of approval from the canon. I went on a rant about this in I think my first video, but I'm back writing and I still haven't recaptured that like pantser energy. Plus, with 2 kids. My pockets of time are small, they're scattered, they're far between. Sometimes it's like 20 minutes late at night when they're finally asleep, and that's all I've got the energy for. And I need to have a plot, so like I know where I am. I can't spend time like re-immersing myself, thinking, figuring out what's coming next. I've often had like the chaos of the day and like many 5 and 2-year-old like meltdowns to contend with. What I need to be able to do is be like not met with a blank page and like coming up with something and generating something unless it happens to come to me. I need to be able to be like, right, this is where we are, this is what needs to come next. And I'm struggling a bit because I got my overarching plot, but I haven't got a lot of the smaller bits that are going to kind of move me there. So I'm hoping Nano will get me out of my messy middle, but that is where I fall on the spectrum of plotter to pantser. Does that make sense? I feel like that was a ramble. I am sorry. Are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? Like I said, I'm a self-published children's picture book author, but I am an aspiring published novelist. Trad pub or self-pub, I guess, is a big question in this space, and I love following the journeys of people who do both. I've had this childhood dream of like writing a novel that is traditionally published, but I don't know if it'll be this one. I don't know if that's my goal for this one. It might be for my fantasy and dark academia stuff later that I really kind of go for that goal. I'm gonna see where this one takes me and how I feel about it at the end, and whether I want to pursue trad pub or self pub with it. Dream publishing house or literary agents? Oh, I can't say yet, and it depends for which project, and because I don't know which project I would want to go with, but like I can't secretly manifesting. What kinds of videos can we expect to find on your channel? Probably cozy writing, like not full vlogs always, because my kids won't be on YouTube. I keep them off the internet. Days that are to myself, I'll vlog a bit. So cozy writing, chatty updates, hopefully a little bit of motivation. I find that content really helpful. Also saying it basically to myself is helpful. I crochet. I'm really sorry if I shoehorn in my projects to like show you, because I need somebody to be like, sorry, I'm sorry. When did you start writing? My earliest memories are like writing really. I know I was doing it in reception in year 1. I had an exercise book that I filled with stories. As a child, I did it loads. I went on my first novel writing course at Kelv Court when I was 14 and loved it. And I wrote a lot of poetry as a kid as well. Often fantasy stories, but like, yeah, some poetry. I dabbled in literary stuff later teens, over the course of university, and attempting in my early 20s. And then I don't intend to write literary fiction anymore, but I had like a free consult actually with an author and writing tutor, and she like runs courses and stuff. She looked at the opening of this novel, had some really helpful feedback. Like we talked about my history and stuff, and she could see like some of the literary influences. So I don't know what that means about my writing style, but like there's some kind of mishmash going on. What was the first story you ever wrote? I couldn't tell you my first ever, but I remember writing one in year 3, which went on forever and ever and ever, and it was some kind of adventure fantasy quest. Eventually the teacher was like, you got to stop writing this, because it was like 10 pages long and they were putting them all up on the wall, and they were like, there's not going to be space, so you just got to wrap it up. But I also, in that like classic little girl way, there are loads of like scraps of stories about lost puppies and kittens and them finding homes. What authors have inspired your writing? What authors haven't? I mean, inspired your writing, I'm not going to claim style influences or whatever, because I feel a bit like, I don't know, I don't want my bad writing to, I don't want to like pull then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but what has influenced me as a person, which obviously influences my writing, growing up, all fantasy, you know, the Harry Potter books, read The Lord of the Rings in year 4, and you know, well, it's not my favourite, like that's definitely in there. C.S. Lewis, the David Eddings, Belgariad and Malloreon series were huge influences on me and my love of like fantasy genre. Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy was the first kind of literary classic I read at school that like pierced my soul, not to be too dramatic. And like rather than just being fun and escapist and lovely, like what books are and what they can do, and yeah, like that, I think that really hit me with that. And then lots of Victorian literature, Middlemarch, and yeah, I mean the Victorian era, I think an age in tumult and doubt and scientific advancement and all sorts of interesting things happening. That whole kind of, I was really interested in it at university. I wrote my dissertation actually on representations of the body in Thomas Hardy's fiction, and I think all of that has really stayed with me. Some modernist stuff like Virginia Woolf and the waves, oh, like so beautiful, sparkling. The way that is written like changed me as an individual. Kerouac's On the Road, I feel like everyone goes through that, right? So those are like, I just feel like they were formative for like how important books and literature are to me. I'm not saying that like my writing is like any of this. One of my favorite novels of all time, which just influences my psyche and probably a little bit what I aspire to do with my work at some point, is Donna Tartt's The Secret History. It's right behind me, isn't it, actually? Look how well thumbed this is. I read it, reread it every year, probably twice some years. There are so many things, but I think those are probably the really big influences. I'd love to know yours. Comment some of your favorites, and if you think I've missed anything. Do you schedule your writing sessions? Yes and no. No, because it's not always possible to be like, at this time I'm going to write, like with the kids and everything they have going on, and my husband works a really full-on job in finance. You know, it has to be a bit fluid. That said, I can't just like write as the mood takes me because of all those things as well. So I kind of have to loosely be like, I'm going to do it if there's a moment when my 2-year-old naps, or I'm going to do it as soon as the kids are in bed, 20 minutes before dinner, or an hour after dinner until my husband gets back, or while he's doing work emails in the other room or whatever. So it's sort of scheduled, sort of not. I think a lot of parent writers will relate to that weird like limbo of you schedule because you kind of have to, or it's not going to get done, but equally that schedule has to flex because the kids will demand it, and that is just how it goes. I love to take notes and doodle and plan by hand, but always write on the computer these days. Like, I wouldn't get any words done otherwise. It would take me like Donna Tartt 50 billion years to write a book if I tried to do it by hand, because my units of time are so short around the kids. I would love to have, one day I dream of having like a little library office with a typewriter that I can do when I'm feeling like very nostalgic and atmospheric, but like a computer's practical too. I want to get myself a nice clacky keyboard. I saw Lynn D. Jung had one in one of her videos, but like the sound of the keys, oh, love it. Final question. I am looking forward to accountability. I think I'm looking forward to progress, because having to film updates and make these videos means I need to have, you know, done some writing. Otherwise, what am I doing here? And that really helps me and my brain and just the way that I write. And community is the other bit, a really big bit actually, because I've seen so many people kind of forge writing friendships on here, and like my friends in real life, very limited friends in real life are not writers, and it's just nice to have like people to share it with, motivation, sort of see how other people tackle things, get different perspectives. I just find that really like supportive and helpful. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Thank you guys if you have stuck around this long. I'm still kind of getting used to the sound of my own voice, which I do not love, so I'm sorry for inflicting it on you for so long. If you made it this far, drop me an emoji, maybe your favorite autumn one. Let's like romanticize our writing a little bit. Give me some autumn leaves. I love the maple leaf. That's the one I'd be doing. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, drop me a little like or subscribe if you fancy sticking around to see how this journey goes, or giving me some tips and motivation, because God knows I probably need